Good morning, lovely ladies. I wanted to report in on day one, which was yesterday. Excuse me. And yesterday, as I might have mentioned before, was Sunday, and I go to church every Sunday, and I manage the kitchen. And there is always, I don't do any of the cooking, but I manage it, and I very, very rarely eat any of the food there. Mainly because it's just your normal run-of-the-mill foods, and most of it is high in fat and sugar and cream and cheese and all that kind of stuff. Now, I find it really easy to resist the savoury foods, but I've got a sweet tooth. And especially if it's homemade, I would never even, a piece of Coles mud cake would just never pass my lips. I can taste all the chemicals and just wouldn't even tempt me in the slightest. But if something's homemade, then it's almost like it's just in a super category of its own, and I am incredibly tempted to have that. And so what I heard yesterday, not only myself, but how often do we say things like, oh, a little bit won't hurt. And what we're really saying is, oh, a little bit's not going to make you fat. And no, it's not. A tiny little bit of, whatever delicious brownie or whatever is not going to make you fat, so to speak. I don't like using those words, but that's what we're thinking, isn't it? But we never say that about broccoli. We never say it about healthy foods. It's always a way of justifying to ourselves or to other people, or trying to, quite often it's other people coercing us into, oh, go on, have a little bit, a little bit won't hurt. And then usually, everything in moderation. But I'm not going to talk about everything in moderation today. What does that little bit do to us? Now, to some people, absolutely nothing. Believe it or not, there are people out there on this planet who can eat one little square of chocolate and then forget the block exists. That's not me. That's not most of the women that I work with. So I know it's rare. So what does that one little bit do to us? Well, for most of us, it sends us down a slippery slope. It can do many things to us. It can open the floodgates to, oh, well, I've blown it now, I might as well, have another piece. It can just, we can feel, I hear it all the time. It's like, oh, well, I've blown it, I might as well start again on Monday. And then we start getting into, the tricky parts of all of this is that sugar is addictive. And it does affect the same part of the brain as drugs and alcohol. Manufacturers spend millions of dollars finding that perfect combination of fat and sugar and salt, the bliss point they call it. They know what they're doing to keep you coming back for more, to keep you eating those chips. So, chips don't trigger me. But whatever your trigger is, a little bit does hurt. So what am I saying then when I'm saying I don't do diets? But I'm learning about myself, and this is part of this whole experiment, and this is why I love doing experiments and help you dig deep into what you're doing, because you have to understand you. If you are not that person who can have one little bit of chocolate and forget the block exists, then you are not that person who can keep chocolate in their house if you are trying to release weight. And it doesn't mean to say that you have to deprive yourself. You can plan. I plan to have chocolate. I plan to have those, those sweet treats that my auntie makes, those yummy homemade things. But I don't do them all the time. And it's what we do every day that matters. It's finding that balance. It's finding foods that you can eat that you don't feel deprived. So it's complicated. it's not straightforward. And I go to a lot of trouble to make foods that I enjoy, that I don't feel deprived. So this is why, you'll hear me talk about making baked apples. Getting those lovely Granny Smiths, coring them, putting in raisins, putting them in a casserole dish, sprinkling them with cinnamon, covering and baking. That is delicious. That hits the spot for me as a sweet treat. But it hasn't got all of that fat and sugar, and it's not going to trigger me. It's not going to hurt. It's not going to sabotage my weight loss efforts. So I hope that, helps you think about, that little bit, your journey, because it is a journey. It is about, understanding yourself. And look, don't get me wrong, there are times when I do have that little bit at church. But I'm at a stage where I don't beat myself up. It doesn't send me down the slippery slope. I learn from it. I go, okay, that's not something you want to be doing every Sunday. So what can I put in place to make sure that it doesn't? I hope this is, just expanded your thinking around that whole thing, and just helping you to understand yourself on this health journey that we're all on, that we're being bombarded all the time with many, many, many opportunities to have just that little bit. And what can you put in place to understand yourself more and learn and grow? Just what you're doing now with the experiment, which is great. So if you've got any questions, pop them below. Have a great day.